Hey everybody, we are live right now at Paste Studios. We're live with Kate Tempest. Kate, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on. I'm extremely happy to be here.
Yeah, of course. So congratulations to you, because the book of Traps and Lessons is out right now on Rick Rubin's American Recordings, Republic Records. And we're going to hear 3 songs from it today. Can you tell us what's coming up first?
Yeah, sure. The first song we're going to play is called Three-Sided Coin. And I feel like maybe the best thing to do to explain it is just to play it, because it's kind of a strange song. But all there is to say really is just thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to play our music and to talk about it with your audience. It's exciting for me to be here in New York, and I'm really grateful. And I just want to greet all the listeners and just say hi and thank you for hopefully giving us your attention. This is
total pleasure on our side as well. Thank you for coming and doing this.
For sure, man. Retell the old tales. Retail's complete hell, we need some detail. That's why I've been staring at the stem of this plant for like the last day and a half, the last day and a half, the last. Now the three-sided coin buys the bow-legged calf, and we've been sucking out the milk from its mother's teat incessantly. So come on, pump us full of nothingness and hear us sing the melody, and watch us dance the thin line between the in thing and integrity. Vacuum-packed, shrink-wrapped, wartime, spam bots, following the stories of the day, in a hands-off, dandruff in your sandwich kind of way. Infinite distraction. Now the distance between objects can be measured out in fractions, but the distance between people is a scale that we can't balance, we're frail. Our hearts haven't had time to try fathom the scales of old dragons and nails in gold coffins. This island, this England, oh, England. We set out from this place for murder and murder, and then we squared it away like it did not occur. Now when people are lost, they need people to join, but beware of the three-sided coin. And when people are scared, they need people to blame, but beware of the fear you can't name. I take the bins out, it's raining. The kids are on the pavement with their hoods up, waiting for buses. And on the radio, someone's complaining, saying until now they'd never discussed it in public. Same thing as yesterday. Careful with the hot tap, cold to burning in a second. Clothes on, stare in the mirror, concerned with the process of life slipping out of the eyes, the odor rise. Mentholated paste on the bristles, scrub the enamel, now shoelace, hands like somebody else's. Where are the hands from before? I was 10 years old once. Life got quiet last night. Station platform, coffee from the man in the hut with the stutter. I see a friend from school, but we ignore one another. Flick through the papers instead. Aching legs, pounding head. I can't wait for the weekend. I'm staying in bed. In the mouth of a breaking wave, in the mouth of a breaking storm, shaken, thinking something is coming. The sky's an unusual color. The weather is doing unusual things, and our leaders aren't even pretending not to be demons. So where is the good heart to go but inwards? Why not lock all the doors and bolt all the windows? All I am are my doubts and suspicions. I against you, against we, against them. This is how it begins, and this is how it will end.
Right. Thank you. Can we talk a little bit about? I mean, you work in so many different media and so many different platforms. Can we talk a little bit about how? I mean, when an idea occurs to you, is it always obvious whether it's going to come across best as a poem? Is it going to come across best as a stage play? Will it be best as a recorded studio album? Do you always know what you're working for, or do you sometimes experiment and play around with different media in order to express the idea?
Usually you can get a sense of what it is the idea wants you to do. It's like the less you get in the way of it, the more clearly you can try and understand how it wants to present itself to you, you know. Sometimes I've thought I knew what to do with an idea, but I got it completely wrong, you know, and I wrote this whole play that I was sure it was meant to be a play, and it was just terrible. But I mean, I think that was because the idea was a bad idea, not because it wanted to be in a different form. And then to be completely honest with you, a lot of the time it's a practical concern. You know, it's like if I'm working on a play because I have to write a play because there's a deadline, then that's what I have to write. Or if I'm in the studio, then I'm working on music, so everything that comes out is music. It just depends on the environment and what I'm sitting down to do. And often you can feel the difference between an idea that's like a story with characters and dialogue, or a kind of more intimate, poetic expression. You know, and then usually it's just whatever I have to get finished first that I need to work on. You know, so
Yeah.
it's just what happens.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you for bringing. We're listening to 3 songs today from the Book of Traps and Lessons. It's out right now. Can you tell us what you're going to do second today?
Yeah, I'm going to do a song called Firesmoke, which is like probably my favorite song to perform because it's just a very beautiful love song. And it's so nice because it just makes me think of my partner every single time I do it, which gives me great comfort because sometimes these things can be kind of terrifying. You know, it's like you don't know, you're doing your songs and you're just putting them into a space and you don't really... Sometimes with the more serious kind of political or social songs, they get very intense in me, and I feel this sense of urgent kind of purpose. It's such a refreshing thing for me to be able to sing a love song because it's a completely different thing that happens to my creativity, my body, everything changes. So this is Firesmoke. I wanted to sing it because it's just such a simple expression, and I think that it makes people feel good.
Awesome. We'd love to hear it.
My visionary is a vision. I watch her dancing by the window, and it rips my flesh to ribbons. And the whole world is just ripples in the middle distance. I listen to her hips. I push my kisses to her lips. We move like we were born to move. The night is teeth and pistons, and there is something in this tenderness that makes me want to live and live and live. It's Firesmoke. Her mouth sets free this captive. Come close to me, free me. Let me untangle the madness that knots you. I drop to my knees, I crawl across you. I tell you I've got you. It's Firesmoke. So go on, give me 3 days of your body and mine. Time is a blind eye, and I see your mind in my mind's eye. You make me immortal. You take me to space. You are a planet. You're a place I've not known, and your body is home to rare gods. I kneel at their temple, blown to bits. We are gentle, ferocious. We are open. Explosives have nothing compared to these sparks. So let's fall apart and then lie with me, breathing in the den of the dark. is fire smoke. Your mouth sets free this captive. Come close to me, free me. Untangle the madness that knots me. You drop to your knees, you crawl across me. You lick your lips softly. It's fire smoke. The fire rises between us. It makes us get on the wrong trains. It makes us walk the wrong way. It makes strangers smile greetings on Lewisham Way. I bathe in this fire. It warms without burning. It compels without force, and it turns without turning the world. So please, keep your purpose, your poise, and your journey. I'll be by the fire, thinking nothing I've learned can prepare me for everything else that needs learning. Is this how it feels to feel certain? Oh, for so many years now my love's been a burden, but now comes this fire to cleanse and restore us, to fuel us and calm us and push us both forward. Forward.
All right. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Claire. Can we talk a little bit about what do you consume literature ferociously? I assume that you do consume quite a bit of it, but is that the case, or are you just so busy with your own creation that you do you have the time to read a bit? And if you do, what are you reading right now, and what do you generally tend to consume?
Yeah, I read lots. I love reading. I love listening to music. I love consuming other people's ideas, because when you spend so much time like so close to your own, it gets claustrophobic sometimes. You know, you need to let other people's ideas in and just come up against other people's brains, because otherwise you just feel like you're trapped in your own endless possibility machine. But to answer your question, I'm reading a book by Philip Roth called American Pastoral.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I'm really enjoying that. And I'm reading this incredible non-fiction book called The Age of Anger by a guy called Pankaj Mishra, which I highly recommend. It's blowing my mind. It is absolutely brilliant. I don't want to paraphrase it because it's just I won't be able to do it service, but really I would definitely recommend that people check it out in terms of being able to understand more clearly the position that we're in right now. He sets it in a framework. I just said I wasn't going to paraphrase it, then I started to paraphrase it. But,
well, yeah, you got to describe it. I don't know what it's about, but
I mean, it's just,
like in the situation we're in politically, the entire cult, like
he's talking about this phase of late capitalism, hyper-individualistic, deregulated free market capitalism, and the violence and the anger and the factionism that it spreads. It's a mistake to see this as an isolated moment in time. All of the anger and the fear about the violence and the increasing separatism in the world, he puts it in the context of capitalism, industrialization, and shows within this book, The Age of Anger, how in the kind of narrative of capital and progress, these kind of the tyranny and the violence that it spreads has been written out of the narrative as if these are freak occurrences, when actually this is the effect of this system. So Stalin and Hitler, most kind of prevalently within our psyche, we write them out as if this is some crazy thing that happened, freak accident. But he positions that in a timeline that we're still kind of on, and he draws the global parallel between where what we call in the West the developing countries, he's from India, where those countries are right now with their capitalism, being very similar to what was happening in Western Europe at the turn of the century. It's amazing.
It sounds like it. I think you paraphrased that extremely elegantly. I think that was you have done it, Service. And I'm just about to finish Jitterbug Perfume by Tom Robbins. In probably today, I will finish that
Amazing.
book, and I'm getting Age of Anger next now.
Yes,
Definitely,
really
due to
good.
your paraphrasing.
It's like it's sometimes nonfiction is harder for me to read because I don't know. It takes me much longer to kind of digest ideas that aren't in narrative. But this is excellent. And I read loads of things all the time, and especially when we're touring and stuff. It just depends what I can remember to pick up. So it's like, I'm reading this or whatever, it gets boring. But I'm reading lots of cool stuff, and I'm listening to loads of great music.
I've got a bookshelf out there where whenever I finish something, I put a book on the shelf. Definitely browse it, because that's what they're for. If you need reading material right now, grab one, grab two, trade me something if you want. But,
okay, cool.
If not, just grab a book. And I'm very glad I asked that question. I've got a list now. Can you tell us what you're going to do third today off of the book of Traps and Lessons?
I can, and I will.
Yes.
This is a song called Sorry, I'm in a funny mood today, man. I think I'm just excited, but it manifests sometimes in strange ways. We're going to do People's Faces, which is the final song on the album. And the album kind of has it was written as a suite. It has an identity as a whole piece. We recorded it that way. All of the songs we memorized and played them live in one take. That's how we got the record. And I think of it as one piece, but we wanted to take these extracts out and just play them on their own and see what happened. But it's important to say that these songs, they belong with their siblings in this bigger family. And, so this is People's Faces. It's from the end of the album. It has a line in it that is probably the truest line that I've ever written, so I feel very close to it. And shall we play it?
Yes, please.
I came to under a domed roof. The light was cold and clear and fragmented. The people were moving. I watched them. I saw a muscle of schoolgirls performing. I saw the ticket woman massaging the small of her back. I saw the young gent as neat as a crease in his work clothes. And I saw the light. It was as light as breath on the dirty old track. It's coming to pass. My country's coming apart. The whole thing's becoming such a bumbling farce. Was that a pivotal historical moment we just went stumbling past? Well, no matter. Here we are, dancing in the rumbling dark. So come a little closer. Give me something to grasp. Give me your beautiful, crumbling heart. Another disaster, catharsis, another half-discarded mirage, another mask slips. I face off with the physical. My head is ringing from the love of the stars. There is too much pretense here. Too much depends on the fragile wages and the extortionate rents here. We're working every dread day that is given us, feeling like the person we could be, it really isn't us. Like we're gonna buckle underneath the trouble, like any minute now, the struggle is going to finish us. And then we smile at all our friends. It's hard. We got our heads down and our hackles up, our backs against the wall. I can feel you aching. None of this was written in stone. There is nothing we're forbidden to know, and I can feel things changing. Even when I'm weak and I'm breaking, I stand weeping at the train station, 'cause I can see your faces. There's so much peace to be found in people's faces. I saw it, roaring, and I felt it clawing at my clothes like a grieving friend. It said there are no new beginnings until everybody sees that the old ways need to end. But it's so hard to accept that we are all one and the same flesh, given the rampant divisions between oppressor, complicit and oppressed. But we are, though, more empathy, less greed and more respect. All I've got to say has already been said. You heard it from yourself when you were lying in your bed and you couldn't sleep, thinking, couldn't we be doing things differently? I'm listening to every little whisper in the distance singing hymns, and I can feel things changing. I can feel things changing. It's hard. We got our heads down and our hackles up, our backs against the wall. I can feel your heart racing. None of this was written in stone. The current's fast, but the river moves slow, and I can feel things changing. Even when I'm weak and I'm breaking, I stand weeping at the train station, 'cause I can see your faces. There is so much peace to be found in people's faces. It's not enough to imagine we'll be happy when we've got enough stuff. All this stuff is blocking us. I'm neat with no chaser. I'm all spirit, but I am sinking, because my days are not days but strange symptoms. And yes, this age is our age, but our age is rage sinking to beige. And yes, the children are brave, but their mission is vague. Is a life well lived, or is a life well displayed? I don't have the answers, but I do believe that there are still things to say. I stare out at my city on another difficult day, and I scream inwardly, man, when will this change? I'm beginning to fade, but my sanity's saved, 'cause I can see your faces. My sanity's saved, 'cause I can see your faces. It's hard. Got our heads down and our hackles up, our backs against the wall. I can feel your heart racing. None of this was written in stone. The current's fast, but the river moves slow, and I can feel things changing. Even when I'm weak and I'm breaking, I stand weeping at the train station, 'cause I can see your faces. So much peace to be found in people's faces. I love people's faces.
All right, Kate, thank you so much for coming through and doing this. We really appreciate it. Claire, thank you. That sounded great, and best of luck, continued luck on the album. The Book of Traps and Lessons, is out right now on Rick Rubin's American Recordings and Republic Records. And travel safely too. You've got a showcase here in the city tonight, but then Western Europe for a bit. You're back in the U.S. Late September and early October. You've got a show at the Terragram Ballroom September 24th in L.A. Fillmore, San Francisco. Have you played the Fillmore before?
I don't know.
It's outstanding. I think you're gonna like it quite a bit.
I've been there. I saw Violent Femmes there.
Oh, nice. Those guys, were they playing a barbecue by any chance? Like a grill instead of drums? You ever seen that? They came in here and they did one of these, and instead of a snare drum, they just brought a barbecue and played it with brushes, and like it breaks down into a road case. Like they travel with it like
also
anything
quite
else.
useful to have a barbecue on the road. Like,
Yeah.
always a good addition to any touring party.
But these, a lot of the tapes on the wall here are from Bill Graham was the guy who opened the Fillmore in San Francisco, and a lot of these there's Aretha Franklin and Ray Charles from the Fillmore in 1966 or something like that, and that's what a lot of this stuff is. A lot of that, like the psychedelic artwork out there on the walls in the lounge, is all original stuff from 67, 68 at the Fillmore. So all of that was a long way to say enjoy yourself quite a bit on the road. Please travel safely through all of the dates. You're back here in New York. You'll be at Elsewhere in Brooklyn on October 1st, and all the dates are up at ktempest.co.uk. Enjoy them. Thanks very much for doing this.
Thank you so much.